When the alien warlord's widow appeared in the dust-choked light of Enter's twin suns, the last thing human mechanic Eric Donovan expected was a marriage proposal. Yet her words cut through the silence like a blade. I need a husband, and you need strong offspring. It wasn't a flirtation. It was a declaration of survival. Between the ruins of a dying world and the threat of extinction, a single human would soon discover that love, politics, and evolution can all begin with one impossible question. Hey everyone, if this story already has you hooked, hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible HFY sci-fi tales, and share it with someone who loves epic interspecies alliances, strong characters, and wild what-ifs. It really helps the channel grow, and I promise, this one's going to surprise you more than once. The heat on Enter S5 was the kind that crawled under your skin, the kind that made metal hiss and sweat sting your eyes before it could fall. The twin suns burned above the valley, relentless and white-hot, pouring down on what was left of the human settlement. Inside a battered workshop patched together from scavenged ship panels, Eric Donovan wiped his oil-stained hands on his gray jumpsuit. For the third time that week, the water purifier had given up on him, and without clean water, the outpost wouldn't last a month. 4 years stranded on this dust-covered planet, 4 years of broken promises and lost signals, and he was still fixing the same damn machine. He tightened the last bolt, the wrench slipping once before the part clicked into place. That should do it, he muttered, more to the silence than to anyone else. He stepped outside, blinking against the glare. Around him, the settlement sprawled like a wound across the Red Valley floor. Prefab shelters, cracked solar panels, and faces too tired to hope anymore. 200 humans, engineers, miners, diplomats, all cut off from Earth since the war began. Eric sat on a crate and took a long drink from his canteen. The water was warm, metallic, and barely tolerable, but it was life. For a moment, he closed his eyes and let the suns press against his face. Then came the voice, low, resonant, and female. Human. He froze. The tone wasn't threatening, but it carried weight, like thunder trapped in a single word. Eric opened his eyes, and there she was. A giant. 7 feet tall, with skin like polished sapphire and eyes so pale they almost glowed. Her armor was black and scarred, marked with silver emblems, trophies from battles Eric couldn't begin to imagine. A blade hung at her side, worn and real, not ceremonial. Eric shot to his feet, heart thudding. Can I help you? The alien tilted her head, assessing him with unnerving calm. You are the one called Eric Donovan, she said. It wasn't a question. The human who fixes machines. He swallowed. That's me. I am Taria, she continued, widow of Warlord Krendak of the Northern Reaches. She spoke like someone used to command, every word crisp, deliberate, final. I have observed you for some time. That was not comforting. Eric's eyes darted to his workbench, where his wrench sat within arm's reach. But she noticed. Her mouth curved just slightly. Amusement, maybe? You are strong for a human, resourceful, intelligent, she said. Thanks, I guess. He forced a half smile. Can't say I've heard that from a 7-foot-tall warrior before. Taria leaned closer, and Eric caught the faintest scent of something electric, like ozone after a storm, mixed with cinnamon. Her eyes locked onto his, unblinking. I need a husband, she said. Eric blinked. I'm sorry, what? And you, she continued, need strong offspring. The words hit him like a hammer. A proposal? A threat? Some bizarre alien metaphor? He couldn't tell. My position requires that I take a new mate, she said matter-of-factly, as if she were discussing a repair schedule. Your people struggle for survival. You have no protection, no stability. I can provide these things. Eric stared at her. Look, that's a generous offer, but we're not even the same species. Our genetic structures are compatible, Taria replied calmly. The scientists of my clan have confirmed this. The children would be strong. Eric rubbed the back of his neck. This is very sudden. You will learn, she said simply. I will return tomorrow for your answer. And with that she turned, her powerful frame cutting a silhouette against the dying light. Eric stood frozen as she strode away, the twin suns setting behind her, two halos of gold around a warrior walking into shadow. Only then did he exhale. What the hell just happened? That night, sleep never came. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her again. Those eyes, that voice, that impossible proposition echoing in his head. I need a husband, and you need strong offspring. By dawn, the mechanic had made a decision. He wasn't going to say yes, not yet. But he needed answers. Who was she really? Why him? And how in the galaxy could a woman like that need anything from a stranded human engineer? The trading post was alive with murmurs when he walked in. Mika, the old trader who ran the place, looked up with a grin. Heard you had a visitor yesterday. Big, blue, and built like a battle tank. Eric groaned. News travels fast. Mika poured him a mug of black coffee thick enough to chew. You met Taria of the Northern Reach, huh? Widow of Warlord Krendak. Half the planet's afraid of her. She asked me to marry her, Eric said bluntly. The trader froze mid-sip. Come again? You heard me. Mika set his mug down slowly. Son, that's not just a proposition. That's politics. Eric frowned. Meaning? She needs a mate to hold power, Mika explained. Her husband died in battle, no heir. Antarian law says leadership passes through bloodline, but she can't claim it alone. If she marries another Antarian, that warrior gains her power. But a human? You're neutral, safe. Eric rubbed his temples. So I'm... What, a political loophole? More like the perfect shield, Mika said. But be warned, Krendak's brother Vrock wants her throne, and if she's offering you protection, it's because she knows war's coming. Eric stared into his coffee, the steam swirling like smoke over a battlefield. Somewhere out there under those twin suns, a giant alien widow had chosen him for something far bigger than survival. He wasn't sure if that made him the luckiest man alive, or the next casualty in an alien civil war. The next morning on Enter's 5 began the way most days did, hot, dry, and humming with the tension of survival. But for Eric Donovan, something had changed. Somewhere beyond those red ridges, a 7-foot-tall alien widow was expecting his answer. He wasn't a soldier, not a hero, just a stranded mechanic. Yet somehow he'd become a key piece in an alien power game he barely understood. By mid-morning, the trading post buzzed with gossip. People whispered as he passed, some curious, others afraid. Taria's visit had unsettled everyone. The Antarians were dangerous enough from a distance. Up close, they were legends carved in living muscle and old blood oaths. Inside, the air smelled of metal and burnt coffee. Mika, the trader, was already waiting. You look like a man who spent the night arguing with himself, he said with a grin. Close, Eric muttered. Ever have an 8-foot alien ask you to be her husband? Can't say that I have, Mika replied, handing him a mug. But if she's from the Northern Reach, she's not the type to take no for an answer. Eric leaned against the counter. She said she needs a husband, said I need strong offspring. Like she was offering a trade deal. Mika's grin faded. It is a trade deal, one that could rewrite the balance of this planet. Eric frowned. How do you figure? Her husband, Krendak, ruled half the northern territories. When he died, no heir meant her claims weak. But if she bears a child, and especially one with human blood, she gets something no other clan can claim, an alliance beyond Antaran bloodlines. Eric blinked. You're saying she wants a political hybrid? Mika nodded. Exactly. A symbol of unity, strength, and power, but also a target. Krendak's brother, Vrock, thinks the throne should have been his. If she's reaching out to you, it is because she is surrounded by enemies, and she is betting everything on one human engineer. Eric set down his mug, his mind racing. So I'd be walking straight into a civil war. Pretty much, Mika said. But think about what she offers. Protection, resources, food, clean water. You could save this whole settlement just by saying yes. Eric stared out the window at the cracked landscape, where the twin suns shimmered on the horizon like molten coins. A choice between staying in slow ruin or diving headfirst into alien politics. Before he could respond, another voice cut through the room, calm, confident, and female. Humans and Antarans both make choices when cornered, said Lena, the settlement's biologist. She stepped inside, her lab coat dusty but her eyes sharp. But I've studied their physiology. She wasn't lying. Human and Antaran DNA are compatible. The science checks out. Eric turned. You're saying we could actually have a child? Lena smiled faintly. A strong one. The Antarians are fascinated by our adaptability. They value resilience as much as power. And you, Eric. You've survived longer here than anyone. That alone might be why she chose you. Eric gave a dry laugh. Great. I'm a survival mascot. Or a bridge, Lena countered. Maybe she doesn't just want a husband. Maybe she wants to prove that her people can evolve. That coexistence isn't weakness. Her words hung heavy in the air. Outside, dust clouds curled over the valley. Eric felt it then. A pull he couldn't explain. Something between curiosity, fear, and something else. The image of Taria's ice-colored eyes wouldn't leave his mind. Later that day, he returned to his workshop, but concentration was impossible. His tools felt heavier, his thoughts louder. As he leaned over the workbench, a shadow fell across the doorway. She had returned. Taria stood framed in the golden light of the setting suns, her presence commanding even in silence. Have you decided, human? Eric swallowed hard, meeting her gaze. I have questions first. Ask. Why me? Why not one of your own kind? Taria stepped closer, her armor whispering against itself. Because my kind are bound by pride and blood. You are bound by will. You fix what is broken. You endure. That is the strength my people need. Her words hit him harder than he expected. Not as flattery, but as truth. And if I refuse? He asked quietly. Then I will respect your choice, she said simply. But understand, the war coming will not spare the weak. Together we could change that. She turned to leave, but Eric's voice stopped her. Taria, if I agree, what happens next? She looked over her shoulder. Then we begin. The suns dipped below the ridge, painting her silhouette in fire and shadow. In that moment, Eric realized something profound. This wasn't just about survival. It was about legacy, about proving that humanity could not only endure the stars, but reshape them. He didn't know yet if he'd say yes. But deep down, he already knew his answer. And that was only the beginning. A stranded human engineer and a battle-scarred alien widow, bound by war, need, and something neither of them fully understood. But what happens when survival turns into alliance, and alliance becomes something dangerously close to love? In the next chapter, betrayal, politics, and the first sparks of connection collide. The question isn't, can two species coexist? It always what happens when they dare to build a future together. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Every click helps us bring more epic human vs. universe tales like this one. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next in Chapter 3, Between Duty and Desire.